one of the things that I'm really focusing on in life at the moment is teaching people how to manage emotions in the workplace, actually in their whole life.
This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good afternoon, John Faisandier. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful afternoon?
I'm doing really well, thank you, Angel.
Well, it is great to connect with you. What part of the world are you in right now, John?
I'm right here in Wellington, New Zealand. It's 6 a.m., it's dark, a bit cold, it's springtime here, and I'm up and about.
Well, I'm so glad to connect with you. I can almost hear the birds chirping as the sun rises.
You can. Well, you are hearing the birds chirping. They're making a lot of noise.
Yeah, well, it sounds like music to me as opposed to noise.
Lovely.
Well, do tell us, John, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
Well, one of the things that I'm really focusing on in life at the moment is teaching people how to manage emotions in the workplace, actually in their whole life. Emotions get in the way so much of good relationships. I mean, emotions actually make good relationships, especially when we feel love towards somebody or feel some of these emotions that make us feel good. But the other part is that when people get anxious, upset, worried, angry, any of these things, that's when many people don't know how to manage that.
So who did you learn that from, that ability to help others manage their emotions?
Well, I learned it through training in psychodrama, particularly. I also learned it negatively growing up. I grew up in a big family and we didn't, Mum and Dad, they got angry and used to hit us and that kind of thing because they were very frustrated back in the day. So I learned to suppress a lot of my emotions. But when I learned psychodrama, then this helped me to become more expressive, to understand myself and to understand other people.
Yeah, explain to us, what is psychodrama, please?
Well, if you think about it as psyche being the mind, drama to being acting out. And so instead of just talking about things, psychodrama puts things out on the stage or the action space. You can get people, if you're particularly working in a group, but you can do this also with objects. And you can recreate scenes and get a completely different perspective on something that's occurred in your life. And you're able to go back and redo that scene and experience it physically in a new positive way. So that's how it's used therapeutically. I used that for 5 years. I worked in a drug and alcohol rehabilitation hospital. But you can also use it in business, which I do now, as an educational tool, just setting out scenes that occur. It was the basis of role play. So it's that kind of thing.
I'm guessing one has to be rather well trained to facilitate such conversations, because as much as there are great things that can occur, I'm guessing it could go the other way around, right?
Absolutely. It's not something you just do off the top of your head. So I trained for 10 years to be qualified as a psychodramatist. And then I trained another 10 years to become a trainer in that, to teach other people. So yes, you do need to be very well trained in this.
Now, where's the best place for someone that's listening to connect with you to find out more?
I have a website. It's tough. My business I call Thriving Under Fire. And I teach this in corporate world. So it's www.tuf.co.nz or NZ. I'm not sure what you say there in the Caribbean. But in the States, a lot of your listeners come from there. So tough.co.nz. And we'll do, if we do /Angel, actually people can get even a little download of making an effective apology, a power apology. When we make mistakes, emotions are involved. And how can we do this properly?
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's great. All right. tough.co.nz/angel.
Yeah.
All right.
The book's also on Amazon, actually. I've got the book on Amazon, Thriving Under Fire.
That's wonderful. Well, tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
Consistently over the last 3 years? Oh, well, we moved into this new house, so I've given up driving a car too much, only when I have to, but I go by everywhere I can on bicycle.
Ooh.
even through the traffic. And this is something that I'm very interested in, reducing our carbon footprint on the planet. Global warming is a reality, even though it's denied by some people. So consuming less, eating a plant-based diet, this is one of the things that I've been doing. My wife and I both focus on this.
How does that make you feel? Seeing, I'm sure it takes a bit more to do what you're doing. Just pedaling the bicycle versus pressing the gas pedal, right? So how does it make you feel?
Oh, well, I feel great doing it. You see the world quite differently, and we walk a lot as well, of course. Fortunately, we live in a very compact city, so it's possible to get around quite easily. And I feel a lot fitter, that's for sure. And I cycle around to the gym. I'll be going around to the gym after we've had this chat. And I find that as I get a bit older, and I need to do these exercises and just keep my body moving. And I love doing it. It's great.
What motivated you to the point to say, okay, I'm going to do this?
Well, I noticed myself sort of getting more and more stiff and seizing up a bit. That's from my personal point of view of doing exercise. But actually, we started on a plant-based diet after my wife got breast cancer, and she realized it was hormonally based. So she looked at all the foods that have got hormones in them. And of course, that's meat, fish, eggs. Eggs are hormones themselves. So these are the things that would promote the growth of cancer. So she wanted to cut these things out of her diet. And I said, okay, I'll cut them out as well. And people think being plant-based or vegan is giving up things, but actually it's taking on a whole new way of eating. And we can use more flavors. We can have a greater variety of things that we eat. And then we linked it up with climate change and realized that it also contributes not only to our good health, but also to the health of the planet.
That's wonderful. Amazing audience. Again, you're hearing it live from John, and he has a last name that I am going to attempt to pronounce again. But John, you say your last name for us.
Faisandier. John Faisandier. I learned it as a little child, actually. Had no trouble even as a little child saying it.
You see, he got it, right?
Only that.
So don't refer to the one I said to the beginning. But,
no, you were good. You were good at the beginning. It was great.
All right, my friend. Well, let's switch gears for a moment. Now, let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. John, what's your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory, the one that comes to me right this minute, is going at kindergarten. So I would have been 3 or 4 years old, and playing with hammers and nails and bits of wood and nailing these things together. And I can just remember my uncle taking me there and being amazed at what I was doing. The thing that actually just comes to me about that, I haven't thought about that for years, is that I'm so hopeless now at doing manual things, like handyman tasks. I've got to put a shelf up on the wall. It'll always be crooked. If I've got to put a screw in, it'll be crooked. But I had we had lots of kids in the family. There were 9 of us, I mentioned. I was by and large very happy as a little child. And I'm still happy today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. It seems as though you've continued doing manual things. It's just evolved from manual food to manual transportation.
Yes. I certainly like these practical things, but I'm no good at doing it. But I kind of much more learn, I'm a lifetime learner, so I like learning things, learning a lot about marketing at the moment.
All right. And if we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
Oh, the Seekers were very popular, and the one I remember most is The Carnival Is Over. In that song, I loved the harmonies they played and just that 12-string guitar playing, the beat. And I play guitar myself and have a 12-string, and so I just love that. That's one of the great songs I've got.
You love the number 12 as well, don't you?
Well, I do.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
I saw that on your Skype.
Oh, right. I do too, that's right. Yeah, that was based on a place I lived. But a 12-string guitar, age 12, the carnival is over. Loved it.
Oh, wonderful. All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there is a small declaration form, so it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, John?
Yes.
John, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Well, you said you're married, right?
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
Well, yes. Whatever that means, I do.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Inner circle of friends. I do, yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Oh, no, don't watch it at all if I can help it.
Wow, what about screen time? The phone and the computer, is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Less than 8. This is my working place, yeah.
All right, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, John, what would you say that is?
My task in life is to show love to everybody I meet, and including myself, to love myself.
That's wonderful. Well, we didn't get the name of your wife. She must be a special person. Please tell us her name.
Sally. Her name is Sally.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Sally, it's great to meet you virtually via John. Glad that you are on the upside of what could have been cancer. I appreciate everything John has shared here. In closing, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Well, I would just encourage people to love themselves. Like, self-compassion is so important. And no matter what they're feeling, feelings are just feelings. They don't have to express them out loud or act out on them, but it's about owning them in a way that they keep loving themselves, because these feelings come from their childhood, have roots in their childhood, and it's about loving that little child that's so important. And that helps you to live today who you are.
Appreciate that. John, again, a great pleasure, my friend. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. This podcast is produced by Pod Edits. Visit podedits.com for professional podcast publishing.